Brinley Baldwin, Brinley Rhodes, Madison Brager, bring them in, Maddie Winward, Tassie Hatch, and Valerie Skidmore, and Jackson Euler. If we can get the 10th graders to start lining up.
We're going to keep the three that we got here, or invite them back here at the end of this particular division after our three classes. I think we're doing some neat things here. Maybe we need to keep them square at moments, maybe just be a little more fluid and confident in how we're putting them together. Nothing to take away from the young people that are staying here. One comment for you. I'm all for flipping sides, but you don't have to act like a ballerina when you do it, right? Smooth, talked a lot today, I got to collect words. We want smooth, very natural movements. We don't want distraction and big ones. Your keys just even made it more loud. So I would leave stuff like that at the house. Get those things to push, get them propped up. When I walk in front of them, I'm asking for a chest view. Go ahead and give it to me. Give them a big hand. We'll see these three back in a moment.
Coming back from class 1 is going to be Brinley Baldwin, Brinley Rhodes, and Valerie Skidmore. Grover, Madison Littlefield, Reese Hatch, Sable Kelsey, Sarah Tree, and Sadie Peebley. If we can get the ninth graders to start lining up.
We'll have these 5 back here in a moment, and just some general comments. Young lady, that's a little goat. That makes it just a little challenging to put that one together. You need to make sure that that one's set up and square, and so you need to be aware of the surroundings, aware where I'm at, but you constantly need to check, and that one's kind of hard to be able to manage, but you've got to be consistent because there's times where that one's out of place and you don't know it. I think you do a good job in terms of making this one push. I like that quite a bit. You're probably one of the better ones in terms of keeping its neck angle right. The problem is you're not quick to get there, and secondly, even right now, you're not being aware too, that one's legs isn't wanting to stay together. You've got that one set up right, you just kind of look like you're hanging out. It's a competition. Do you like to win? You got gorgeous hair, by the way. Then show me it, okay? You got to have this internal fire, and I know who's here to play and who's not. As soon as they hit the ring, you've got to be able to have those things. Make sure you offer chest views so when you go work through that. And this particular one, you're doing a good job of putting this one together, but you need to make that one sit into it and not pull it into it. It's a difference in terms of how your body language comes together and then how that one's front end is assembled. Give them a hand. We'll see you 5 back in a moment.
Coming back from Class 2, we have Anna Hales, Cooper Branch, Jandy Hawks, Maddie Grover, and Madison Littlefield.
Schooler, let's get growing. Your partner for grain and feed, merchandising, marketing, storage, and logistics.
If we can get those coming back for the senior showmanship drive in the show barn.
We'll bring these three back in a minute. Really what it boils down to is efficiency and being in the right place and then exude confidence. You're doing a good job and have some intensity. You can't find a place where you're comfortable. And body language and posture on the livestock and as well as yourself is imperative, especially in these small ruminants, because you got to find a place where you're comfortable so you can dig in and have some longevity, and the livestock reads with you, and then it doesn't exude the same confidence. You're doing a good job at doing that. The problem is that goat isn't pushing. You aren't making him express his full potential as well. That one's just hanging out, but so are you, and we need to kind of put things together, and that one needs to be square in how it's put together as well, and make sure that his feet are right and give me the extra expression and tone and touch when I ask to push. We'll see you guys back in here in just a second. We'll let you circle. Congratulate those heading back to the barn.
Coming back from Class 3, we have Briley Howe, Drake Marble, and Leah Tree.
Rudd Funeral Home is there to serve your family in your time of need.
Let me be free. Let me be free. Let me be free.
If we can get Wyatt Brown to go to his goat pen in the lamb barn, please.
So a couple general comments as we start discussing these top end on the senior showmen. One, in case you weren't here last night, you probably figured out pretty quick by now that I like to ask some reduction traits and some reduction ideas to these kids. A lot of times I know they're probably not going to answer, but it gives me an opportunity to just have some general education, because the show ring is the avenue. Show ring is the competition. It's the highlight of what they do. But you're supposed to also learn beyond here too, in terms of economics and those value traits that we talk about. My question in this setup was, what's the standard dressing percentage for goats? Standard dressing percentage is the percent of their live body weight after we harvest the animal, remove its internal organs, its hide, and also some of the extremities of the body. And it's the percent of their live body weight that's hanging upside down as a hot carcass. Goats are generally going to standardize somewhere around 45 to 48%, so we're going to lose over half of them in that process. You start asking yourself, well, why does Chevion and Caprito get probably just a little more expensive? When you start losing over half of it, it kind of increases some dollars and cents pretty quick. I'm not going to sit there and sort every of them and try to find a way to trick. What I'm trying to find is an opportunity to the kid that's consistently making them present themselves. And that presentation is presenting the livestock first, but also presenting yourself in the process. Ultimately, you're trying to be smooth, you're trying to be efficient, you're trying to give me the best looks and offer me the same views at most times, but you're also creating a silhouette when you get them propped up that's a combination of you two, and then getting the most out of the livestock. This one's a little plainer goat in just in a general sense, which probably doesn't help in terms of his standard and how he's created. The problem is, I shouldn't say the problem, the highlight of you is you're always in the right spot, and you don't draw any attention to yourself that's excess in a negative light. You're always in the right spot. When you get that one set up, you just go to work, you make that one push, and you set yourself into it in a situation where he's comfortable in you, and that actually creates into a problem and just smooth confidence that's very natural, and I like that and how that presented. One thing in terms of a general group, and I don't really have a plus or minus that I've noticed, a lot of you guys are acting like your butlers with your second hand. You don't really know what to do with it, and you've got a tablecloth coming and you're getting ready to serve me. That's the best analogy that I can come up with. I don't know if it's good or bad. It's really not necessarily either per se, but you find a way to look natural when you're thinking about these things. Just because somebody does it doesn't mean it works for you, and that's what we need to keep in mind. This one wants to fight you at times, and ultimately I think you just get more out of your goat than the young lady behind. When you finally get that one set up and propped up, that one's able to just kind of highlight and accentuate the positivity in it. That one you get more push and brace out of collectively, not only when I go to touch, but when I can stand back and see more expression. Those presentation skills in terms of getting the goat highlighted is why you stand second. Now, in terms of silhouette and how you lean into the goat more consistently, I'm saying this loosely because now you're starting to draw that one into you. Traditionally, through the stamina of this exercise, you've actually leaned into it and actually probably been as consistent as any in terms of keeping that neck parallel, getting that goat to lean in and having some of those expressions. I don't think he pops quite the same. I don't think that one stays is correct in terms of his rear leg, and you need to be consistent in those manners to be able to move up. But 3 nice showmen. Young lady coming in the next spot probably gets as good out of the goats, is very aware. You just look awkward in terms of how you handle it. You tend to drag his head forward instead of pushing into him. These goats, and I'm not opposed to picking them up and putting them down. I get how we're going to have to make them pop when we go to touch. I'm for that. But dragging them, lifting them, letting them dangle, we're past those days, far and away. These things look better when you get them to push. It's better for the livestock. It's better for you. It starts at home. We need to get them to push. And you guys are all doing that. I'm just something I observe that we continue to want to revert back to some traditions that we need to let go. Young man, I didn't know where I was going to put you for a long time. The problem is with you is you don't know where you're supposed to be at times. And that's why you stand here. Honestly, I was going to put you at that end. But the longer I watched, when you get this one set up, you set it up better, and it stays set up more consistent, and that's why you work up here. If you know where you're supposed to be, and you just are confidently going where it is, you can run with them. But you've got to know where you are, and you've got to do your homework on how to have that. Very natural showman, and like that quite a bit. Maybe we need to go ahead and fix it in terms of our stance to be just a shot more comfortable as well. It's kind of a similar conversation as we work down the line. Maybe we end up not having the legs quite as well. We want to drag and not push and just let them say not to have that. You tend to pull into that one as much and need to stand more upright with your general posture and lay back your legs. That one wants to keep its feet kind of all over the place. You got to make it push. You've got a hard one to show, bud. just to be honest with you, because he's an easy spine one, but you need to work to find a spot to be able to pull him up. And I wanted to see some of that correction. Now, are you going to be able to maintain it? No, he's easy top, but you still got to try and find that spot where he looks the best and then leave him there and get him there consistently. This one's not one to cooperate. You very much like what I'm assuming some kind of relative or sister over there in terms of what you want to present, but the problem is she leans into it, you pull out. You need to be able to push into that one, and then once that happens, honestly, I think once you train him that way, he's not going to dance so much. He's just going to lean into you because it's easy. That one's just one to be a knucklehead, just to be quite honest with you. Give him a big round of applause as they head back out of the barn, and we'll go into our intermediate division.
Our Grand Senior Showman goes to Brinley Baldwin. Reserve Senior Showman goes to Briley Howe. Third place, Brinley Rhodes. Fourth, Anna Hales. Fifth, Drake Marble. Sixth, Maddie Grover. Seventh, Jandy Hawks. Eighth, Valerie Skidmore. Ninth, Cooper Branch. And 10th, Leah Tree. For those of you who got...
Rock and Roll Construction Products, providing U-Cart concrete and landscaping products. For a genuinely warm welcome with small town friendly service, stop by the grill. They have slowly smoked ribs, wings, and briskets, along with homemade appetizers, unique sandwiches, pizzas, and burgers. The grill is a perfect location for family get-togethers or business lunches. They can even cater. For added fun, call the Bear River Bowling Center and reserve a lane. No matter what you like, the grill has something for everyone.
If we can get our 7th graders to start lining up in the barn.
Now, this comment's going to be directed mostly towards you, young lady, and I'm just giving you a fair warning now, okay? I made a comment previously, if you were listening, I know you're preparing for that. I am out on letting them hang, okay? I'm not opposed to making them pop, resetting them, even go ahead and give them just a little yank when I go to touch them, but we're beyond that. They look better when they push. They're more natural when they push. You posture yourself better when you push. And the thing that I was thinking about when I was going through this and thinking about kind of the highlight reel, there's a young lady that graduated from Penn State a couple years ago that's an incredible sheep mind, and she showed some goats at some very high-end levels. And when she was exhibiting, she was one of the first ones I saw really do as good a job as any, keeping them on the ground and making them brace. That thing looked impeccable, and she ended up winning our state fair by a big landslide that winter, excuse me. But that kid knows how to make them look natural. Sheep, goats, it doesn't matter. And she's won showmanship at every level, from the state, local, to the national ring in the shavings in Louisville. You've got to make them look natural. We don't dangle them anymore because it just doesn't look right, and honestly, it's uncomfortable for everybody. I think these three are the best ones in getting them presented. We're just maybe a little off. You want to pop that one's head, and because of that, he's not one to sit down at the surface just a little bit. You can't gather that one quite as quick as he's one to get all over the place. You need to make yourself just a shot more comfortable to be able to present that, which starts at home in terms of finding out where you can stand up. Stand tall with your arms, your shoulders back, and give a real presentation. He's standing right, but you need to get him to push, and that one keeps wanting to pull back. Give him a hand, and we'll go into class 2.
Coming back from class 4, Andy Noggle, Kate Schaefer, and Piper Stokes.
Tanglewood Studios has something for everyone, whether it's dance, cheer, color guard, or gymnastics. There's even recreational all-boys gymnastics along with Mamma Mia classes. Family rates are available, so come join the fun.
If we can have our 6th graders lining up.
We'll bring these three back in a moment, and really what we look at on this is, young man, you need to go ahead and offer chest forwards to get that one to push. And I keep making this comment, and I guess I want to re-emphasize this in kind of a bigger scheme. What is the purpose of showmanship? Showmanship is to highlight the positives in your livestock or your project, whatever you're exhibiting, and mitigate the negative. Always leave the most positive impression, because honestly, I'll admit this even through the day, there's moments I look at the lambs, because there's a lot of them today, I'm going to use that as the example, and I get a good look, and then I get a bad look. And then I'm sitting there and I'm questioning myself, okay, what is this thing? Is it real, is it not? Or is it just showmanship? It matters. Consistent positive impressions matter, and we're going to take that exercise and we're going to think about it in terms of the next step once you get past this activity. What other thing are you going to do shortly in your life where the first and last impression is crucial? Any of you guys thinking you're probably going to have to work for a living? If you're not, we're going to have a conversation. You're going to have to work for a living, okay? Job interviews. You get one shot. One shot to make a positive impression. One shot to maintain that eye contact. One shot to be able to make a lasting moment that they think, yes, we want to invest our time and energy in you. One shot. And I'm going to tell you, there's some really talented people that screwed up that first impression and didn't get the job. You've got to think about what you're doing, okay? So the other part of that too is you got to make it look effortless, natural, smooth, not draw any unwanted attention yourself, but always just kind of be the player that's in the right spot at the right time. That's the objective, okay? So we got to make it look easy, and don't bring anything that's unwanted to your circle. That's what we're trying to accomplish. Effortless, smooth, always look the part, and always look in a confident manner. He's fighting you too much. That one's feet are all over the place, and you have trouble keeping him propped up. You need to go ahead and step back up in terms of your silhouette. Draw back your shoulders. You're letting that one lean forward. You need to get him to push into you and get his neck out of the top side of his shoulder and get his feet squared more underneath you. You want him to almost lean. I'm a marginal guy on that. I think sometimes we make them lean too much and it actually distracts. We want them square. That one, man, you're just kind of slumping over and letting your knees kind of work to them and then trying to hold your them back. It's about the silhouette, man. You got to get them to push. Give them a big hand. We'll see you three back in a minute.
Coming back from Class 5, Ella Thompson, Riley Topham, and Trevor Lutz.
Lincoln Financial specializes in estate, investment, and retirement planning, as well as business benefits. At Lincoln, they are totally impartial, comb through different options to create financial products that a person needs. Lincoln Financial, big city service, small town care.
Those coming back for our intermediate showmanship drive, if you can line up in the show barn.
Honestly, I think this entire class, and this is the biggest one I think we've had to date, is doing the fundamentals very, very well. They're able to hold the livestock. They're getting them relatively positioned. But what the separation is making sure you get them pushed, having that added presence, making sure your alignment and shoulders are back. Stand upright, kid. It's okay to be proud about what you got. Do those things, and that turns into separation. We just need to get these things silhouetted better and maybe positioned a little better and get the extra push out of them. That's a general comment. Kind of place variation throughout. Give them a big hand. We'll pull these 5 back here in a second, and we'll figure out who your champion division is going to be.
Coming back from Class 6, we have Cooper Balls, Emmy Howe, Haven Rhodes, Kimmy King, and Skylie Montgomery.
Let Trudy Hatch and Shannon Johnson help you get into the home of your dreams. They're your local experts for all your mortgage needs. Give them a call today.
Rigby Chiropractic, promoting health and wellness locally with a personal touch.
Haven Rhodes, Kimmy King, and Skylie Montgomery. If we can have class 7, our 5th graders, lining up in the show barn.
Well, a couple positive comments. I've kind of preached that I want you guys to be kind of upright and have your shoulders back, have a proud silhouette. I think consistently from top to bottom, we're definitely approaching that and doing a really good job. Endurance ultimately comes a little bit more of a test in this category, and that's just unfortunate. I'm not going to sit there and play sides and try to find you the trick. This is about trying to find the one that puts them together. Obviously, based on my opinion last night, I think you've got a good model to start off of, and that helps. But the things that you do well is you always get that one set up in its corners. You're able to go ahead and stretch that one's rear leg to really make that one set up out of its front end. You're always in the right spot to be able to do that, and when you get something out of it to push, those details matter in terms of similar presentation. Young lady standing behind her actually does that pretty well as well. I think maybe sometimes we're just not quite as elusive in terms of our general mannerisms and that intensity, that connection, that X factor. It's hard to say. You don't always have that one set up as square, but I love the head placement. I love where you put your hands on that one's head to be able to get its jaw and set straight up in the air and make it look so natural and opened up. You do a consistent job. I don't know if you get as much push out of it as some other people when we go to set this one up. The young lady here is probably one that I would call no thrills, but does everything right. We talked about finding that situation where there's no distractions. You never have a distraction, and I love it. You just need the added intensity. That one's set up there really nice at the front end. You tend to let that one camp under it just a little too much more. I think if you go ahead and stretch that one out about another 2 inches in terms of its rear leg consistently, it gives a better profile. Right now, especially the longer you go, he's getting tired. He's wanting to tuck up underneath himself. Go ahead and make sure his hip is stretched quite a bit. Now, the one thing I've really made a comment as I turned and looked at the young lady at 4 behind me. I think you do a really good job. That one tends to ball up, and partly because that one's a little rounder off both ends. One thing that I actually like about you is you find this kind of in between. I made a comment earlier that everybody seems, for whatever reason, it feels like we've got to either have almost like I lost the word. Butler's arm going on in terms of hanging a towel over it and going everywhere, or we want to be right here like we're getting ready to punch somebody up close. I look at this more like the livestock. We want it to be upright, we want it to look positive, but we want our livestock to be quality, to look like athletes, right? Everything to be effortless and natural. I want you guys to be upright in that category too, but what makes an athlete look cool? Everything's just effortless, right? You think about whatever elite one you want to talk about. I've got a guy I went to high school with that was one incredible athlete that had multiple offers to decide to play soccer. It didn't matter if he just jogged onto a field. He just looked like somebody blowing in the wind. I think from where I'm at in terms of Penn State, we had a really incredible running back a couple years ago, and we got a couple pretty good ones right now too. And maybe by the name of Saquon Barkley that had an opportunity for the Heisman. Probably you guys none of them know him because I'm the weird guy that loves football. That guy is incredible in terms of his lateral movement and how he does. He makes it look effortless, okay? Look up the highlight reel against Iowa State and you'll understand what I'm talking about on that. Where you hold your arm, to me, reminds me more of an athlete. I think of a shortstop and how that sets up. He's never stiff. He's always loose, but he's always in a situation where he can move quickly, efficiently, and effortlessly. I think that's where we need to strive for. Showmanship is tough. I think it's more subjective. Okay, I think actually sorting livestock in my mind is incredibly more easy because it's founded on basics and logics. Showmanship has more subjectivity, especially as you go to judge. But think about those things. That's the blueprint, and then find your effort in there. You just ball him up too much. If you get him stretched out, honestly, you have him looking as good as you've had all day. He's relaxed. You're paying attention to me all of a sudden and listening to my story. Bless your soul. All of a sudden, he looks better. Find a way to make it look effortless. Really good job. Young lady, I love the fact that you get that one's head straight up and you tend to get him stretched. You just don't always get him squared up as he's trying to go away. I like how you get this one to push. The problem is you tend to let him stretch too much and you don't necessarily have the same physical connection in terms of body posture. You do a really good job. He wants to pull too much instead of push, and maybe at times we want to dangle a couple of them too much. Way better job. He looks better by staying on the ground. Just he's got to be used to it, and that starts at home. Give him a big hand as they head back to the barn.
Intermediate Grand Showman goes to Piper Stokes. Intermediate Reserve Showman is Kate Schaefer. Third place, Hayden Oates. Fourth place, Skylie Montgomery. Fifth, Emmy Howe. Sixth, Trevor Lutz. Seventh, Ella Thompson. Eighth, Cooper Balls. 9th, Riley Topham, and 10th, Andy Noggle. Those who place 3rd through 10th, if you'll bring your ribbon to the...
There's a lot to know when it comes to buying insurance. That's why it's important to have an independent agent looking out for you and your family. Whatever you're looking to protect, Advanced Insurance Services can help. Let Sherry Pally help make sure you have the right coverage and are getting all the discounts you deserve. She can shop several carriers to find the company that is right for you. Call for a free insurance review today.
Norris, Kaylin Scott, Kaysen Healy, Crimson Reese, Madison Branch, and Remy Kay.
Just an announcement for the GOAT exhibitors. Anyone who has participated in Showmanship today, their name is being put in for a drawing. That will happen immediately after our grand drive here in the ring. You do need to be present to win. So all GOAT exhibitors that participated in Showmanship, please come to the ring after the grand drive for our drawing. We have a brand new Weaver goat stand, as well as a tartar, a tartar feeder, and 2 $100 cash prizes. So please, all exhibitors, come to the ring after for that drawing.
If we can have Class 8, our 4th graders lining up in the show barn.
We're going to pull these 3 back, so I'm going to make one quick comment. Make sure your feet are square, and don't bend their nose back like they're going to the moon. Go to a place where they're natural. If you tilt them back too far, everything comes apart. The rest of them are just maybe not quite as efficient. I think you're doing a great job in terms of body posture. You need to get that one squared up on its corners just a little better. He's one to stand a little awkward. He's one to fight you too much. And then we come down here, and maybe the goats just aren't wanting to cooperate. They're not wanting to push. At moments, you do really good in terms of getting that one's head put together, but you can't maintain it, and that's why you're kind of on the outside. Give him a hand as we'll send him back and retire him to the barn.
Coming back from Class 7, we have Drew King, Crimson Reese, and Madison Branch.
Roach Ranches supports the people that support them and the fantastic youth of the Valley. Thank you for over 60 years in business, quality seed stocking, gravel, and hunting.
If we can have Class 9, our third graders lining up in the show barn.
Way to put it back together after you got pushed around a little bit, kid. I really appreciate that. I think the general comment is we need to make that one push just a little bit and then maybe set him up square. That one's one to fight. You tend to stretch that one and not get him set up. Make him push, don't pull when you get into him. That one you don't know how to hang on to right now. That's okay. Make sure you stand up. Work off the knot of his throat, but the base of his jaw and the back of his head, and then be able to manage him from there. You tend to get him sideways, and I think you're just inconsistent. When you get them together, you probably do as nice a job now as any. You tend to get that one too stretched out of his front end. Give him a big hand as we retire him back to their pens.
Coming back from Class 8, Emmy Searle, Claire Schaefer, McCall Mackey, and Wyatt Brown.
Amy Rupp with England Volkers grew up in Cache Valley, now lives in Box Elder County and can't imagine calling anywhere else home. The people, places, and gorgeous open landscapes serve as her constant inspiration. Amy serves Box Elder and Cache County in residential sales with knowledge and expertise in large acreage and ranch listings. If experience is what you're looking for, look no further than Amy Rupp. Amy is a proud supporter of the Box Elder County Livestock Auction.
R&B Livestock Solutions has you covered for custom fencing, grazing, and livestock transportation. Give Rhett today.
Kent's is your one-stop shop for fresh produce, bakery items, deli, and meat. Stop by today for fast, friendly service.
Rudd Funeral Home is a locally owned family-operated business. Joe Rudd and his family, as well as their devoted staff, are committed to providing you with the best service possible during a difficult time. Their beautiful facilities have all the necessary amenities. A large viewing room can also double as a smaller, more intimate funeral chapel. The chapel is even equipped with streaming capabilities to make sure family and friends are connected no matter how far they may be. Rudd Funeral Home is there to help you in your time of need.
Those coming back for the Junior Showmanship Drive, please line up in the show barn.
We would like to thank our sponsors for our Market Goat Show Showmanship, Doug and Susie Lish, Kate Schaefer, Claire Schaefer, Schaefer Goat Ranch, Matt and Melissa Branch, Cody Roach, Katie Scott, Jeanette Skidmore, Cody and Tara Rhodes, Mark and Shawnee Mackey, Randy Smith, and House Homegrown. Thank you so much. Please give these sponsors a round of applause. They've been awesome, and we couldn't do it without them.
Well, just remember, folks, without sponsors, these activities wouldn't happen, and support across the country for these type and beyond. Just remember, your kids went through it. Go support those who supported you, and when you have the opportunity to kids too, make sure you give back, because that's the only way this continues to go forward. We're going to bring these three back here just in a moment, and I think we've got some good pieces. So the goats aren't necessarily one to cooperate. That one leans into you. You need to get them squared up a little bit more. Honestly, the one that could be really interesting would be this goat and this young lady, because that one wants to work for you. You're just ready to kind of maybe put them away and need to be more alert. Give them a big hand as we send them back into the barn, and then we'll pick your junior division.
Coming back from Class 9, Annalise Kelly, Ellie Scott, and Ike Howe. Emmy Searle, Wyatt Brown, Annalise Kelly, Ellie Scott, and Ike Howe.
Again, for goat exhibitors with Showmanship, we will be doing the drawing immediately after the final drive. So please, and you do have to be present to win. So please be ready and on deck for that.
Now I'm going to be honest with you, young lady. I thought you probably had this one from the very beginning, even back in class. You do a great job presenting that one, get him positioned, getting a really confident look, and get him to push. The thing that I'm going to critique you on, just thinking about things, you needed to reposition him just a moment ago. How are you doing that? Well, you were coming out and you're spinning them out like you're trying to spin a piece of ribbon or something like that. Does he come back to a natural position where you want him to be if you just spin him and then bring him back and put him in sideways? No. What's going to be more comfortable? If you lead him, make the circle, and put him back and lead him to where you want him to be, is it going to be easier to get him where you want him? Yeah, do that. It's about making it effortless, making it easy, making it so it's not something you got to mitigate and do that. If you pull those pieces together, all of a sudden you take another step. But a really good job getting this one stuck together. My American footwear guy. Right, you kind of got knocked over earlier, okay? And you kind of came back together. The thing is once you shake it off, and I think perseverance is great, things go bad, you got to just shake it off and continue to move forward. When you get this one stuck, you get him stuck well. He's really good in terms of keeping his feet square underneath him and keeping his head vertical. That one, because of where you put his rear leg, and it could be just a shot square now, really collects his top line more like a goat isn't supposed to, and that's a real positive in how you position him. You just got to be able to do it consistently. I actually like you probably a little better in terms of being more upright and maybe a position in your feet. Problem is especially as time goes on, you're one to pull on that goat and not necessarily push. You're not as consistent in getting him to push and tone in terms of touch and then keeping his feet square underneath. But three very, very nice exhibitors. Endurance is starting to play a factor at this point, and when you get this one positioned, especially in terms of your body language out of his front end, I think you do okay. You need to get him squared up, and then you need to get to a place where you're comfortable, because right now you're just trying to do everything so hard down low. Be able to push and make him push, and then stand back and make him look good, and I think that goes a long, long way. He's one that fights you too much. He gets too wide. This one, honestly, having inconsistency in terms of doing that as well. You tend to make that one just come, or not as much now, but over here, make him break behind his top line and maybe ball him up. That one, you tend to rock him too far backwards in terms of his head. He gets uncomfortable. I love the fact you make him push, but he's got to be square. As we work down, I think 3 young people that are doing a really good job just trying to get some consistency in terms of being square. Maybe we get them a little too stretched. Maybe that one we don't always stay in line. We tend to get out of sequence with everybody else. Don't get lost in a crowd. Make sure you fight for space. Be courteous around them. Give a big hand. It's been a really nice show.
We have a missing little boy here at the we have a lost little boy here at the goat desk. He's in a yellow shirt and black jogger pants and blonde hair. He looks to be about 2 or 3. If this is your child, will you please come to the front desk?
Our Grand Junior Showman was Claire Schaefer. Reserve Junior Showman was Wyatt Brown. 3rd place, Drew King. 4th, McCall Mackey. 5th, Annalise Kelly. 6th, Madison Branch. 7th, Ike Howe. 8th, Emmy Searle. 9th, Ellie Scott. 10th, Crimson Reese. And for those who placed 3rd through 10th, if you'll come to the table with your ribbon for your prize. Give us just a few minutes and we'll begin our raffle for the Goat Showman.